There was a time when I looked at you through eyes filled with certainty. I believed I understood your heart, your intentions, and the person you truly were. Every conversation, every smile, and every promise seemed to fit together like pieces of a beautiful picture. I never questioned the image I had created because I trusted what I felt. I trusted what I saw. More than anything, I trusted you. Today, I realize that perception can be one of the most fragile things in the world. It can take years to build and only a few moments to completely transform. That transformation did not happen because I wanted it to. It happened because reality slowly revealed itself, one moment at a time. The little details I once ignored became impossible to overlook. The things I defended suddenly became difficult to explain. The excuses I made for your actions eventually ran out, leaving only the truth standing in front of me. I am not writing these words out of anger. Anger fades with time. What remains much longer is understanding. Understanding changes the way you see people forever. Once you truly understand someone's character, you cannot force yourself to return to the illusion you once believed. The person I thought I knew placed value on honesty, even when honesty was uncomfortable. I believed you would rather face a difficult conversation than hide behind silence. I believed you would protect what mattered instead of allowing misunderstandings to grow. Those beliefs gave me confidence. They gave me peace. They made me feel safe enough to lower my guard. Now I understand that not every silence means peace. Sometimes silence is simply avoidance. Sometimes silence allows distance to grow while pretending that nothing has changed. It leaves unanswered questions floating in the air, creating confusion where clarity should exist. I never expected perfection from you because perfection does not exist. Every person makes mistakes. Every relationship experiences moments of weakness. That was never the issue. What truly changes everything is what someone chooses to do after those mistakes happen. Do they accept responsibility? Do they make an effort to repair the damage? Or do they continue walking as though nothing ever happened? Those answers reveal far more than the mistakes themselves. There were moments when I waited, believing that eventually you would notice the distance between us. I thought perhaps you were overwhelmed or distracted. I convinced myself that time would bring everything back to where it belonged. Instead, time became the very thing that showed me how different reality was from my expectations. Waiting has a strange way of teaching patience while also exposing painful truths. The longer you wait for someone to show that they care, the more you begin to question whether they ever intended to show it at all. That realization was not sudden. It arrived quietly. It came during ordinary days when I noticed who reached out and who remained silent. It came through promises that slowly disappeared without explanation. It came through words that sounded comforting but were never supported by consistent actions. Actions always speak with a voice that cannot be ignored. Words have beauty. They inspire hope. They create dreams. But without action, they become echoes that eventually disappear. Consistency is what gives words their value. Without consistency, promises become stories instead of commitments. I began comparing who I believed you were with who you consistently showed yourself to be. The difference between those two people became impossible to ignore. That was the moment everything changed. It was not because I suddenly stopped caring. In many ways, I cared too much. I wanted to preserve the image I had built of you because letting go of that image felt like losing something precious. Accepting reality meant admitting that I had misunderstood someone who mattered deeply to me. That kind of acceptance is never easy. People often think disappointment arrives through dramatic moments filled with arguments and broken endings. Sometimes disappointment is much quieter. Sometimes it is simply recognizing that someone no longer matches the place they once held inside your heart. That quiet realization can change everything. I started remembering conversations differently. I remembered promises that once made me smile but now sounded incomplete. I remembered moments when I overlooked behavior because I wanted to believe the best. Looking back, I realized that hope often encouraged me to ignore what wisdom was trying to show me. Hope is beautiful, but hope without honesty can become dangerous. It encourages us to stay attached to possibilities while ignoring reality standing directly in front of us. I no longer want to build my understanding of people on possibilities. I want it to be built on truth. Truth may not always feel comforting, but it creates stability. It removes confusion. It allows people to make decisions without constantly questioning themselves. For a long time, I questioned myself instead of questioning the situation. I wondered if I was expecting too much. I wondered if I misunderstood your intentions. I wondered if I simply needed to become more patient. Eventually, I realized those questions were keeping me trapped in uncertainty. Healthy relationships should not require someone to constantly doubt their own judgment. They should create confidence instead of confusion. They should encourage honesty instead of silence. They should inspire growth instead of emotional exhaustion. Looking back now, I recognize how much energy I spent trying to understand behavior that never truly aligned with the words being spoken. Understanding finally arrived, but not in the way I expected. Instead of giving me reasons to hold on, it gave me reasons to let go of unrealistic expectations. It reminded me that seeing someone clearly is an act of wisdom, not betrayal. Sometimes the greatest act of respect we can offer another person is accepting them exactly as they have chosen to reveal themselves, without trying to rewrite their character inside our own imagination. That lesson changed me. It changed the way I listen. It changed the way I observe. It changed the way I place my trust. I no longer measure people by their intentions alone because intentions remain invisible. I measure them by consistency, reliability, kindness, and the way they respond when circumstances become difficult. Character becomes most visible when life is complicated. Anyone can appear loyal during easy seasons. Anyone can speak beautiful words when nothing is being tested. True character appears when patience is required, when misunderstandings arise, and when commitment demands sacrifice. Those are the moments that reveal what truly lives inside someone's heart. I once believed I knew exactly who you were. Today, I understand that I knew the version of you I hoped existed. Reality slowly introduced me to someone different, not necessarily because you changed overnight, but because I finally stopped ignoring the differences that had been there all along. That realization was painful, but it also brought peace. Peace does not always come from receiving the answers we hoped for. Sometimes peace comes from finally accepting the answers that have been present all along. Acceptance does not erase memories. It does not erase appreciation for the good moments we shared. It simply changes the meaning those memories carry. Instead of seeing them as proof of what would always be, I now see them as reminders of what once felt real to me. That difference matters. It allows me to appreciate the past without allowing it to control my future. The perception I once held can never fully return because understanding has replaced assumption. Experience has replaced imagination. Reality has replaced expectation, and although that truth carries sadness, it also carries freedom. Freedom to stop searching for explanations that no longer matter. Freedom to stop defending what no longer feels genuine. Freedom to stop holding on to an image that reality has already transformed. Perhaps this change was inevitable. Perhaps every meaningful connection eventually reaches a moment where illusions disappear and authenticity becomes impossible to avoid. If that is true, then this moment is not the end of understanding. It is the beginning of seeing clearly.